Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Minis and Muscles, the place where the brawn meets the brush. Let's get rid of this wire, it's rather annoying. I just had it in place because I've got my new camera that's above us for mini cam. So that's hanging up there. So let's just move that out of the way so it's dangling in my face. How are we? Happy Friday. We made it to the end of another week. We are here yet again, which is good. You know, this is what, number 8 now. So we're actually got a bit of a roll going, which is quite nice. So we've got a little bit of music in the background. Let's wait for a few more people to jump on and start chatting or saying hello if you're there. For some reason, I can't see in my stats anymore where people are. It doesn't tell me how many people. It used to tell me like concurrent users and blah blah blah, or concurrent people watching or whatever. But it doesn't tell me that anymore, so I don't know where people are, which is rather frustrating because I can't see if anyone joins and I have no clue, which is rather bloody annoying. And I don't know how to fix it either. I thought it was this little YouTube live control panel thing, but that doesn't seem to be giving me any stats whatsoever. Hello, Aimzo. How are you? Oh, in fact, it's working. It's just popped up. Ah, brilliant. I can see there are people there. Ha ha, huzzah. We are on. We are there. So, good. Heart can relax now. We are actually streaming. It is actually working. We're live here on Friday on Minis and Muscles yet again. So, welcome one, welcome all, especially if you're new to the channel. Lovely to have you here. If you have been a follower since day one, which is, what, only 8 weeks ago, actually. But if you have been following for the long stretch of 8 weeks, then thank you very much. Welcome back. So let's go for a quick recap of where we were last week. So where we were last week, I made a boo-boo. So made an error. I had some family over and completely forgot the time. Completely didn't realise what the time was. I started the stream an hour late. With no preparation, no nothing. So it was a bit of a cluster. However, we did start painting some Sisters of Battles miniatures. So from the Warhammer 40k realm. We started painting those up because, as you know, if you've been listening to the other live streams, I have been trying to build out my Sisters of Battle or my Adepta Sororitas army. We've got some chats here. Squarish is on. Ian is on. Hello, hello, hello. Good to have you all on here. So I've been trying to build out my Sisters of Battle army. So I've been painting various miniatures like this one. So this lovely lady, let's bring her into view there. That's quite good. There we go. I've been painting her. I've been painting, or building out and painting at the same time. This one. You can see her. Then we've got this one here. This is quite a cool one. A little flag bearer. So I've been starting to paint all these out. And I've got multiple models that look like this that aren't fully painted, but I've had to glue them together. So because I've got a game of Warhammer 40k tomorrow, I think it is. Is it tomorrow? No, Sunday with some friends. And I'm trying desperately to get the army in a position where I can field them. So last week I had cocked up, so we were doing a Warhammer model just to fill the space, so to speak. In fact, I think I put it over there, actually. Damn, I should have had it ready to show. In fact, no, let's grab it. Let's get it. Okay, let's grab the model. So I am still here. Don't panic. Don't worry. We haven't gone anywhere. We are still live. We are still here. Just adjust my chair. So this is the model I painted last week. So I didn't get the whole thing finished on the stream, but this is what she looks like. We'll bring her in centre. That will help. I keep on going off to the wrong way, but yeah. But she looks pretty cool. So I think she looks smart. She looks good, and she's carrying this flag totem thing. I'm not sure what it is, but it's pretty funky. So yeah, so I painted that last week. That was on the stream in place of the Ghost Dragon because I hadn't prepared it. Now, I hadn't started it because I hadn't prepared it and I hadn't undercoated it. When I was looking at the model, because we said we were going to do the Ghost Dragon this week, let's bring it up actually and let's show you. Here he is in all his might, the Ghost Dragon. So this is a large miniature for Dungeons and Dragons made by Dungeons and Lasers. I think it's actually, is it? Yeah, Dungeons and Lasers it is, yeah. So it's made by Dungeons and Lasers. These are really cool. They're actually pretty cheap for what they are for such a large miniature. There's no instructions, so you got to scan the QR code. Oh no, in this one there is instructions. In the last one I did, there was no instructions. But they're pretty good quality. They look really smart when they're put together. They're slightly finicky because some of the molds aren't quite right, but they're more than doable. So with this one, I was like, last week, I was like, oh, I haven't undercoated it, can't start. And then when I opened the box, I looked at it, and the model comes like this. So normally, a model will look... I haven't got an undercoated one. Well, they normally come in like a piece of plastic, like grey coloured like this, right? However, this one comes like this. And given he was called Ghost Dragon, I thought, is this guy supposed to be translucent? Was my thought. But then looking at the picture on here, doesn't seem to be. But then this picture on the back, can you see that one? If I bring it a bit closer, so you got, it looks like he's sort of got translucent wings and his body seems to be of solid colour. So to that point I thought, let's just start cutting him out. Let's stick him together and see what he looks like once he's stuck together. Then we can make a choice on what we do, how we do it, right? So that was my kind of thought. We'll try to see how he looks with this sort of translucent type plastic and maybe some washes and things like that over it, or contrasts. And if it all else fails, I've got my spraying area just over here, and I'll just quickly spray him up, and we'll prime him black and get on with it. But anyway, that's what we're going to do today. So we'll take you through that. We'll go through all the cutting, the process, the gluing. I'll find out some finicky instructions, I'm sure, but we'll be good on that. What else did we talk about last week? We spoke about... we did speak about some Warhammer stuff, and we also spoke about Critical Role. So Critical Role is my favourite YouTube channel. So they do tabletop role-playing games on their channel, and it's largely, well, at the moment, Dungeons and Dragons. They have just created their own TTRPG, or a couple of them actually, but they might transform. They might move across or shift across onto a different type of platform. Excuse me if I get my words wrong tonight. I just landed back from the good old US of A a few hours ago, so I am here live at home in the man cave, but I am a little bit tired. But yeah, so Critical Role on YouTube. I've watched the live TTRPG shows. So that is a group of 8 in total actually, voice actors. And the voice actors play Dungeons and Dragons. They play it very, very well. They do a lot of role-playing in their games. A lot of acting between the cast. And it's a brilliant narrative story to follow. The Dungeon Master is fantastic. You know, the debate's out whether he's number 1 in the world, but he's certainly in the top 10 without a shadow of a doubt. Probably actually top 5. He's absolutely awesome. The cast are really good. So the way they play their characters and the characters they depict are really, really cool. I talked last week about a couple of my favourites. One of them being Grog, one of them being Grog from Campaign 1, Jester from Campaign 2. I absolutely loved those two characters. So Grog was played by Travis Willingham, and Jester, ironically, was played by his wife, Laura Bailey. But they were very cool characters to watch. So yeah, that's what we spoke about last week. We went into a little bit of depth about all the campaigns and where we are right now and my thoughts on it. I did say that I'm not too keen, or as keen, should I say, on Campaign 3. And I also mentioned a little secret of how or when I met Critical Role and how that happened. If you want to find out how I met Critical Role, then go into the previous stream So that's live stream 7, and you will find me talking about that there and what happened there. Rather interesting story. So yeah, it's worth 30 seconds of your time to have a look. And if you've got time to listen to the whole stream, do that. Yeah, so today we are going to do the Ghost Dragon. We'll go through together the instructions. We'll cut all the pieces out. I'll talk to you how I cut all the pieces out and how I sort of trim all the edges off and the burrs and things like that. And then we'll look at either undercoating or painting it as is. We'll also talk about tables, because we sort of links from Critical Role from last week. We'll talk about tabletop role-playing games in general and how to get into those and what to do. Of course, we will have our muscle moment. We'll talk today about rest days and breaks, and the importance of rest days and breaks, and why we should include them, what we should include them, what we should include whilst on those breaks or rests, all the rest of that good stuff. Okay, so that's what we're going to look like today. Anyway, I've spoke loads this evening. How are you all in the chat? We've got a couple of you on. Excuse me whilst I drink my Liberty Chill Mountain Dew. I'm absolutely addicted to sodas, fizzy pop, Mountain Dew is one of my favourites. So, Mountain Dew, if you're listening, you want to send me some, I'd be very much appreciative. So what is everyone up to? It's Friday. How's your week been? What's been the highlight of your week, people? Come on, tell me. What's been going on? And whilst you think about your week and what's been happening, I'm just going to prep this wet palette, actually, just in case. I think I added a little bit too much water in. So I'm just going to drip that off into my water pot for my paintbrushes. Because, yeah, you want a wet palette to be wet, but you don't want it to be soaking wet that your paints don't actually sit on the palette and it just floats around. So, yeah, don't go too crazy with the water. Right, stick that in there. That's looking good. Alrighty, so let's change down to our cameras. Here we go. So, that's a bit zoomed out. We might want to zoom a little bit out actually here. Oh, other way, Steve, other way. There we go, just so you can see the whole lot. So, Dungeons & Dragons, Ghost Dragon Manual. Oof. So, as I said, on this front cover, he looks quite smart actually. I do like how they've painted him. I do like that sort of purpley blue with a bit of pink up here. That actually looks really smart. See, now I'm thinking I should undercoat him and I should paint him like that, but maybe go some translucent on the wings. What are you saying there? Is Mountain Dew better in the States? Yes, Mountain Dew is better in the States, Ian, definitely. You get crazy flavours like this, which is Liberty Chill, and it says 50 flavours of dew in one. I don't know how they've got 50 different flavours in one bottle, but there's loads of different flavours. So there's loads and loads of flavours of Mountain Dew out in the US, so they're really good. Very much worth investigating if you ever go. Back to our model. So yeah, I really like this colour scheme. The other one we've got, the other option we've got is this one here. Let's just zoom in. There we go. Oh, there we are. So that's our other option we've got. We've got this sort of bronzy kind of green, and then he has translucent wings. I'm not sure if I like that colour. I think I prefer that colour. That's far more striking. And then I might just try translucent wings. So we're going to have to find the wings, leave the wings as this sort of green see-through plastic, and then the rest we're going to have to spray. I think that's how we're going to have to roll, peeps. Let's have a look. So what are the wings here? So I'm looking at the instructions, and I'm just trying to work out. So it's part number 26 is a wing, and is that part 7? Is that? Yeah, part 7 I think is the other wing. Okay, part 7 and part 26. Alrighty, so all you need for when you're doing this kind of work is 2 items. You need these, a pair of snips, and you need some of these files. Okay, that's because you need to cut the item out. Some people do use Stanley blades or knives. As I started this channel, I always wanted it to make it the most simplistic, easiest possible way to do it. So you only need these, actually. You only need these cutters. Oh, Hells is saying purple. Yeah, I'm thinking purple too, Hells. So that's what I'm thinking. So yeah, so I've got these cutters, and we're going to use these just to make it simple and easy. So let's find part number 26. I think it's actually the one literally in front of us. It's none of those parts there. They are not wings. Definitely not. So we can spray those in a second. If I put those down there. Oh, in fact, they're literally right in front of me. What a donut. There's one there, and there's one on this side. Let's just zoom out again. Doop, doop. There we go, just so you can see a bit more. That's actually quite good, this camera. Quite like that. So you've got one wing there and one wing this side. Right, so take your cutters of choice. You can buy them from places like Games Workshop if you want. And you want to get the flat edge. Oh, that's a bit poor camera, actually. You want to get the flat edge of this, not the edge that is got the angle on it. Not this angled edge. You want the flat edge. Flat edge against the model. Okay, right, a butt up against and just cut into it. And it should cut fairly easy. So flat edge against and just work your way around. It's pretty easy. So now we've got a few more people in the chat. What's people been up to? You can tell me what you've been doing. How was your week? What about you, Squarish? How's your week been? Hells, how's your week been? Ian, how's your week been? What's been going on? Right, so we cut that one out. We'll have to cut the burrs off in a minute, and I'll show you what I mean by burrs, but let's do the other one just whilst we're here. So let's cut this one out, and then we can quickly spray the rest of the model, because I think that's going to be the way to go. Have him nice and purple, and then just spray the... have him nice and purple across the body, and his wings be this translucent kind of colour. I think that's quite a cool feel. But yeah, what's people been up to? What's been going on? Right. Okay, so we've got the rest of the model then looks like this. Okay, so we've got the two wings down on the table there. The rest of the model's still on the sprue. The sprue is this plastic frame. And I'm just going to spray the rest of this in black. I'm going to undercoat it all black. I use a very simple spray paint. I don't use anything particularly expensive. As always, it's trying to keep costs down. I didn't get my spray out though. Bad, Steve. So let's grab that now. It's right next to me though, so I don't have to leave you anywhere. It's here. Ah, huzzah. There we go. So this is the spray I use. Can you see that one? So it's just a matte black and it's by Colour Forge. The reason I buy this, it's just as good as the Games Workshop one, because generally I use Games Workshop paints. Apart from a few others, but I'm starting to move away from them because I think the quality is dipping. I've said it a couple of times before. And this Colour Forge is 500ml. The Games Workshop cans are not 500ml. I think they're 400ml. So you get 100ml extra and they're cheaper. So well worth using these. CR, good evening. Good evening, kind sir. Thank you very much. Yes. Good evening, kind patron. How are you? What's going on? How's your week been? Come on, people. Tell me how your week's been. It's Friday. We should all be pretty psyched. I mean, I should be pretty jet-lagged and knackered, but I'm not. I'm here with you guys. And I'm loving it, by the way. And I'm here out of choice because I love you and because I love what I'm doing here. It's just a passion more than anything. So, here we go, right? I'm going to spray these bits that are just off the side here in my little spray box. I don't have a spraying booth. All right, some people have a spraying booth. They're like $100. I can't be asked to buy one. I can't be asked to set one up, so I'm going to be really naughty and spray inside my man cave. Do not do this at home, okay? Do not do this at home. I do not recommend it. I'm just stupid, all right? So I'm just going to quickly bang some black across the sprues that I've got, the rest of the dragon pieces. There we go, adding some black on that one. And adding some black onto that one. And it won't take long to dry. I just flip them over. So what I actually have, I have a cardboard box, right? I use a cardboard box that I've got from an Amazon delivery or something like that that's fairly large. On the sprue, rest the model up against the edge. In fact, could I get it on camera? Oh yeah, yes, I can get it on camera. Because I can do this. Oomph. Is that right? No. That's not the one I want. That's not the one I want either. Where's the phone gone? Oh, maybe I can't. I thought this was connected. It says connected. That's strange. Ah, there we go. Right. So, can you see down here? I've got my sprues. I've rested them up against the box. And I'm just going to apply some black on the fronts and the backs. The reason I rest it up like this is because you can flip them over and you can do both sides like this. So I'll just take this one, flip it over, and then do the reverse. And you can see my box is nice and black from the loads and millions of models I've sprayed. Okay, right, that's enough of that. Put you back there, camera. Oh, look, you can see my Mountain Dew. And stick you back on there. Okay. That is spenny. Yes, CR, that is spenny. $100 for a... well, it's actually over $100 for a spray booth. I'm always, like I said from the start, I'm trying to do this channel for the non-pros, for people that don't have a load of cash, that just enjoy modelling, and you don't have to do this. I would not recommend you spray your models in inside your man cave. However, I would take it out. Normally what I do is I take it outside, spray it out in the garden. That's how I do it. It's a lot easier. So let's move these up there. So if I actually, in fact, let's bring it in a bit closer just to make sure I've actually sprayed it properly. Yeah, I think I've got the majority of it. Might be a little bit extra I have to go over in a minute, but we'll let those dry. Whilst those are drying, let's try some little tricks with these wings. Let's see what contrast paints and things like that look like. So, when I talk about contrast paints, there's two types of paints. You get paints like this. So, let's change the camera again. So you get paints like this that have like a gooey substance to them, like that. Then you get paints like this that are like a liquid. You can't really see that, can you? Let's try this one. This is a better colour. There we go. So this is just like a really thin liquid. So that's the kind of thing you want. They're normally called, when you buy them from Games Workshop or Citadel, they're called technicals or contrasts or shades. So they're the types of paints that you might want. So let's zoom in a bit here. On our model itself, when we've cut out these wings, I was talking earlier about burrs. What I mean by burr, let's just zoom in, is this. So, can you see here? On this little bit here, this sort of white sticky up bit on the end. You've got one there, sticky up bit. Where else have we got one? One here, sticky up bit. And they just go around the edge. And that's where the model was originally connected to the plastic sprue. Alright, we want to cut that off because it's not going to look good having a silly little bit sticking out. So just go round with your snippers and you can cut them flat. If you can't quite cut them flat by just doing this and snipping them, alright, what you can do, and this is how I do it, again, it's not the only way to do it, but I get the inside of the snipper and I just run it along the edge like that, and it just takes off the top part of that sticky out bit. So, again, sticky out bit, not particularly technical, is it? But yeah, I blame jet lag. But yeah, just work around each different one and start taking the edges off. So, come on, nobody's told me yet what they've done this week and how their week's been. Has it been a good week at work? What geeky things have you guys done this week? God, there must be someone in chat that's done something semi-geeky. Did you play a video game this week? Perhaps you played Warhammer this week? Did you play Dungeons and Dragons this week? Did you play Magic the Gathering, the card game, this week? What about Pokemon? Pokemon's a geek topic. Millions of people love Pokemon. I never really got into Pokemon much. It kind of hit me when I was a little bit older and it was a bit too uncool to play Pokemon. But, ironically though, years ago, when Pokemon first came out, my dad went to America and he came back and bought me a pack of Pokemon cards. Now, these would have been like the original sets, and it was a big fat box with, you know, a couple of hundred cards in of Pokemon cards. And I look at them now, and people are buying these original boxes and these original cards for thousands. I threw them away, and I threw those away. Get this will make you sick. With my Magic the Gathering cards that I had as a kid, and all of those, I went back onto a site a couple of years later and looked at it, and all those cards are worth thousands. Thousands and thousands, and they were all in individual sleeves, and I threw them in the skip, along with those Pokemon cards. Could not believe it. So yeah, I probably threw away, I don't know, 20 or 30 grand's worth of cards. I didn't know that was the value at the time, but yeah, that was what they were. What we're saying in the chat. So, see, I was saying it started a Red Alert 2 campaign. Yeah, that's a great game. Red Alert 2, classic game actually. It's been around for donkeys. Not really changed much in how it works. Graphics have changed a bit, but it's pretty much the same since it came out as Red Alert 1 many moons ago. But that's a cool game. Nice one. How are you doing in it? Hopefully you're winning the war. What's Ian saying? He said, a bad week, no gym. Fresh start on Monday. Brother, I feel you. So this week I've been in the US of A, my favourite place in the whole wide world, for multiple reasons. So I've been in the USA this week for work, and there was no gym in this hotel I was at, and I was working till sort of 6:30, 6:45 by the time I packed up what I was doing. And then I had sort of evening engagements as well, so there was no time to do anything like that. On my first day there, I took a quick walk down the town, but that was like 10 PM. Found a geek shop. I did find a geek shop in this tiny little town in Washington State on the west coast of America. I found this blooming geek shop that sold Warhammer and Dungeons and Dragons stuff in the middle of this tiny town. There wasn't hardly anything there, but they had a geek shop. It was brilliant. One thing I did say to the guy in there was, never buy Warhammer. This is a tip for anyone in the UK. Never buy Warhammer from a shop in America. It's well expensive. If I moved to America, that's the one thing I would not end up buying anymore, because it's so much more expensive. A normal squad over here is like 30 quid, maybe 40 quid if it's a really expensive one. But 30 quid, you can get something for 30, 32 pound. In America, $60 for a squad. I couldn't believe it. That's a crazy price. But yeah, so don't worry about the no gym. I had no gym this week. Sometimes, and we'll cover it later, it's good to have some time off. And we'll cover that in a bit on our muscles moment. Squarish is saying lots of TTRPG for me. Played D&D and Goblin Quest. Also got the next written something for Tag Kendala. Ah, okay, cool. You can't see what that word says there, unfortunately, Squarish, because next session written for the tag. Yeah, okay, got you. So that's cool. So it sounds like you've had an awesome busy week for TTRPGs for you. That makes me jealous, because I was unable to run my tag session this week because the plane was late and got me out there late. So by the time I landed, I did not have any time to get to the hotel and do my live stream game that I do. So I do a little live stream game for Tactical Advanced Game, which is a subsection of Game Therapy UK, a registered UK charity that does therapeutic gaming for lots of different groups. One of those groups is the military veterans, and I run games over there for them, online stuff, and we also do some things in person every now and then as well. So that's very cool, and Squarish is part of that. He's saying that he's got his game all sorted for Candela Obscura. So we were talking about Critical Role last week. Critical Role released Candela Obscura as a tabletop role-playing game last year. Yeah, last year. And very successful. It's quite a role-play heavy game, so it's not as... There is dice involved in it, but it's not as much dice. It's more sort of acting your character between everyone, so that's quite nice. So we've gone round with our little cutters and we've done all those burrs. If you cannot get some of the burrs off, you use your file. So then you just go over that area with your file. If they're in a hard to reach place or a bit awkward, just get your file over it and it should take those out. But yeah, Candela Obscura is a very cool game. I really wanted to play it in Squarish's game. I never got a chance yet. Damn work. Why do we all work so hard? That's one thing I'd say in the US. Pace of life seems slower. Slower there than what it is here. It seems a bit more chilled, which I quite like. So there we go. So we've got all those burrs off of the dragon. So, or dragon's wings, sorry. So I'm glad you guys have had a good week. It sounds like you've all been pretty busy, pretty positive. You've had some nice things to do. It's telling me that you've been doing your bits and bobs for whether it's computer games, whether it's Frustration on No Gym, all the rest of that sort of good jazz. So we're going to have a look at putting some contrast paint onto these wings. Now, this was the picture. So this is the sort of picture that we're going for, or the colour scheme we're going to go for. This purple colour, I think it's really, really nice. So we're going to go for that colour, but the wings we're going to try and keep translucent. So how do we do that? Let's just reach across here. And we've got this one is what I was looking for. No, it's not that one. That's a green. Where's my purple? No, that's not it. Ah, this is kind of a purpley blue colour. So, we were talking about the difference in paints. You've got that sort of thicker, gloopier paint-looking paint, if that makes sense. And then you have this sort of water-based stuff that looks like, you know, it looks like a... Well, you can't really see it very well there, actually, now I've shaken it up. But it looks just like ink, essentially. Given the model was translucent on the wings, I thought, or translucent on the whole print, I thought maybe you're supposed to paint it like this, and you're not supposed to cover it in lashes of paint. You're just supposed to go with this. So let's try. I have got also some lighter blues to add, and I've got here got some green as well, but I don't know if that will work. I think I've got a grey here, a grey blue, so I'll probably use those three and see what it comes out like. And this is probably just going to be a matter of layering on lots of different shades and contrasts. I just want to see what it looks like. I've never done this before because I've never had a model that's translucent, but let's see what it comes out like. There we go. Alrighty, so let's just start. Oh, see, just applying that already. I'm not sure. I don't know. Is that enough to? Is that going to even dry on there? I don't even know if that will dry. You know, I really don't get what the point of this translucent model is, if not to use it in this way to give it that ghostly figure. Maybe it will stay. Maybe it will dry on there. I don't know. What do you guys think? It looks a bit too runny to me. Again, no expert, never claimed to be, but I reckon this is way too runny and I don't think this is going to stick. I think it's just going to fall off. That's kind of how it feels. If I tip the wing up, all this will just fall straight off and go straight on my mat. But we'll see. We shall see. We shall try, we shall give it a go, see what it looks like. And that's what painting's about, really, and modelling and crafting like in this kind of fashion. In fact, same can be said for computer games, same can be said for TTRPGs. It's just giving something a go, like thinking, should we do that? Fuck it, why not? Oh, damn, I swore. Sorry, YouTube. So it's just about thinking, oh yeah, I'll just give that a go, why not? And just jumping on in and just, you know, bashing it out. See, look, I can't show you now because it's, you see the bits that are just dropping off. I don't know if this is going to stick. We'll see. If not, I might have to spray these up as well, and then we might have to do something else. But I've got an idea for. Yeah, see, like if I just move this across, can you see all the drips that are just coming straight off the wings? I mean, it does look a different colour to that, though. I will say that if you look at the two different colours. It is staining, I guess. So maybe you've just got to let it dry. But that means we can crack on with the body and start cutting the rest of the body out. Because hopefully that will have dried from our undercoating a minute ago. So, has anyone got any plans for this weekend? What are people in chat doing this weekend? What are you guys up to? Tell me, tell me. My plans this weekend is not really much apart from trying to finish his Sisters of Battle Army and then going to play Warhammer on Sunday. So that'd be cool. Meeting up with 2 buddies. Oh no, we've got 3 buddies are turning up and a 4th as well who I've met but don't know. So that'll be good. It's going to be 2v2 and I think I'm going to get my ass whooped, but it is only my 2nd game, so I don't mind. So here we go, slopping all this stuff on, and this is the beauty of this kind of ink-based contrast. And even when you're doing it on finer detailed miniatures, you don't have to be super particular. You know, as you can see here, I'm just slopping it on. It goes on really easy, and it just drops into all those crevices. And it just gives you that cool textured look. I really like it. But that is never going to dry in a month of Sundays. Not a chance. Don't think so anyway. Right, let's move these over here. Right, excuse me a moment. I'm just going to move these over here to dry. Gosh, I've got ink all over my hands now. That's never good. Dry up the splurges off of my mat. We don't want that. Wash out our brush. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. I'm not convinced, but I don't know how else to do it or why they would even give a model in that way with that translucent resin that it's formed from. It kind of seems pointless. Unless you're going to literally cut it out and glue it together when it's in that colour it is out the box. But that's freaking boring. Nobody wants to do that. Oh no, I forgot to spray this bit. Darn it. So that's the rock base. Oh, sugar. So I'm going to have to do that now, aren't I? What a fool. Right, I'm going to quickly spray this. Bear with me, people. Don't move. I'm still here. I can hear you. Well, I can't actually, because you can't talk to me through YouTube. But you can chat to me whilst I quickly spray this. So if you've got something to stick in chat. Has anyone started a new model recently? That's what I want to know. Because I did tell you about the guy that messaged me to say that he was inspired by the channel and started painting, which was super cool. So I just wonder whether any of you had started painting. Have you bought yourself a model recently? Even if I haven't inspired you to paint, which is completely okay, by the way. But maybe you were just painting anyway, and you thought, oh, sod it, I'm just gonna go and buy another one. Have you started collecting something else? That should be good, he says. See, the thing is, You never quite know with these models how much is right. But you just got to give it a go. There we are. Right. Okay. So I'm going to be high as a freaking kite by the end of this stream. So by 2100, I'm going to be floating all over the place. So if I'm talking absolute gibberish, it's a mix of being high from the fumes and from jet lag. Fantastic. All right. So whilst we're waiting for that to stop, I shall have a swig of my Mountain Dew, and we'll have our muscle moment. So let's put this down for a moment, and let's change our camera and talk about our muscle moment. So, gives us an ideal... excuse me, breathing in too much of that. Allowing that to dry, gives us an ideal opportunity to talk about our muscle moment for the week. Now, what I wanted to talk to you about this week, because we've talked about various different exercises, good versus bad, all this sort of stuff. And feel free, by the way, to drop in some questions or comments, etc. When I'm talking through this section. But I wanted to talk about the importance of rest days and breaks. Ironically, Ian popped up in the chat earlier, and he said it's not a bad week, but he's had no gym. So he wants a fresh start on Monday, which is absolutely awesome. Now, when you're training and you're doing... Oh, no, I'm sitting skew F. When you're training and doing whatever you're doing all the time, the body gets to a point sometimes, and I think it's probably more so in modern life, because modern life is very stressful. It gets to the point where it's just like you're not feeling the benefit, or sorry, you're not seeing the benefits that you were before, or you're not feeling the gains, and you're just feeling exhausted or knackered. At this point, and it could be that you take a break, and that break could be a day of rest, or it could be a period of several days to allow your body full recuperation. So let's take one by one. Rest days. What is a rest day? Well, a rest day is simply as it states on the tin, taking a day off from doing something. That something in this scenario is your muscle moments. You're going to the gymnast. So it's taking a break and putting in regular breaks in between your sessions. Why do we do this? We do this so that we can allow our muscles to grow. So the principle and the very basics of the idea is you go to the gym or you exercise outside of the gym. You push a muscle, whether it's the heart when you are running, or whether it's the lungs when you're running, or whether it's muscles, your biceps when you're doing a bicep curl. It could be absolutely anything. And you go to that gym, you push that muscle group or that organ to the point where, for example, in a muscle scenario, if I'm doing bicep curls, the muscle will tear, very micro tear. You don't feel it, it's not tearing in a bad way, it's a tiny little micro tear. In those micro tears, then as you refuel the body and you rest, those micro tears then heal. They heal, and so instead of being like this, you get a little micro tear like that, and then when it then heals bigger, and it goes over it's like heals over the top of itself, and it goes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's kind of like this. By the way, I'm dumbing this down, A, for myself being jet lagged, but B, just to make it really, really simplistic. So don't come back at me and say, oh, well, actually the science is, yeah, we all know, well, we don't all know, but we know the science. It's just to try and make it as easy to digest as possible. So yeah, so you do these little micro tears in your muscle, and then for the case of the heart or the lungs, if you're running, you're pushing them to a point where you feel stressed or under stress, and the more you do that, or the more regularly you do that, the more the body becomes competent at that point and feeling under that stress point, and then can manage itself to do that for a longer period of time, because it's like, yeah, I've been here before. I know exactly what's going on now. You're running at 175 beats per minute, or whatever you want to call it. So you're running like the clappers. Day one, you can do it for like 30 seconds. And as the week progresses, you can do it for 45 seconds, and then a minute, because the body's now like, yeah, I know what that feeling is. That's okay. I'm used to that now. I know that I can go a little bit further, and it just keeps on. And again, this is basics. not full-blown science, but that's essentially how your body then starts to improve as those organs become more capable of, exchanging the, or pushing, in that case with the heart, pushing around the red blood cells to get the muscles oxygenated quickly, and it starts to get stronger. And in the case of the gym, you're then doing these micro tears, the muscles get bigger and they're stronger because they've then done it before, and you can do more again. So we want to put in as many. I hope I'm making sense, by the way. I'm sitting here drinking my Mountain Dew in a room full of fumes and with a load of jet lag, so hopefully I'm making sense. If I'm not, jump in the chat and tell me. Say, Steve, you're talking bollocks, and it's swear word. That's 2. Oh, that's bad. But jump in the chat and tell me. Yeah, so we've got our rest days. That's essentially, in a very basic sense, what they are. What we want to do with those rest days is we want to implement them through our weekly training cycle. So you should try and take days off here and there where you can and spread out your workloads. The reason why you want to do that is so that you give your body more time to attune to that feeling and heal. So if you have a rest, so if you work out, have a rest day, work out, you're allowing your body to heal, grow, and become used to that feeling rather than just going at it. When you become more when you become more attuned to doing regular exercise in that basis, your body will be able to compensate in other ways. So you'll need slightly less rest time. But even pros take rest. Even the pros need rest, and that's absolute fact. So you just plot them out throughout your week. Say you're doing 4 sessions a week. Have the other 3 days of the week as your rest days. And what do you do on these rest days? Well, you just sit on your arse and stuff your face with cake? I've done a thumbs up. No, you don't sit on your bottom and stuff your face with cake. What you actually need to do is ensure that what you're taking on board is suitable fuel to repair the muscles and give you energy for the next session that you're about to do. So that's what you want to be focusing on. That's in your rest, and then that's on your rest days, it is. When you're looking at breaks, so Ian was saying he had a week off. That's not always a bad thing. So what can happen, is quite common, is like a form of plateauing. So by that I mean a levelling off of your training or your motivation. So you can then go through a point where you're training for 3 or 4 or 5 weeks or an intern into months, and then all of a sudden you're not seeing much more progress, or you've lost motivation for whatever reason. This is where I think it's good to stick in a rest week. The reason why is because you can reset your mind. I think that's the most important thing here. It gives your body, yes, the chance to recover, recuperate, and it gives your mind the opportunity to take a break from it, forget about what you were doing, come back when it's fresh. And trust me, after a week off and you go back into the gym, 9 times out of 10 you'll be able to work harder on your next session. I normally plot these in every couple of months or so, because I just, like last week, I thought, oh well, that's it, I'll take this as my break. So rest days and breaks are really good to integrate into your training program. Do not be shy of them at all. It's really important not to overtrain. So absolutely everyone and anyone can overtrain, whether you're a professional, whether you're an amateur. If you do too much, you can end up causing yourself injuries. So if you're constantly pushing yourself to the max, and you're, doing a bench press every single day, bench press every single day and pushing yourself really, I keep getting a thumbs up. Bench press every single day is very, very hard, right? You will not be able to recover. Your body will start to fatigue and things will start to break down and you'll become exhausted. So instead of overtraining, take those rest days throughout your training regime and then occasionally drop in a break. They're very, very good. What would you want to do on your rest days? Well, you don't just sit around, like I said. You can have it as an active rest day. So you could go around and do things like, I don't know, light stretching. So an hour's worth of light stretching, or yoga maybe. You might want to do yoga. You might just want to go for a brisk walk. These are more than acceptable things to drop into a rest day. So something that keeps the body moving but doesn't actually push you to the point of exhaustion or strain the muscles that you've got. We've got some chat coming in here. So Ian's saying, can you overload weekly without increasing the weight effectively? Can you overload weekly? Well, can you explain on that question, mate? Again, I think I'm probably just tired, so I'm not quite getting it. I'm going to read that again. Can you overload weekly without increasing the weight effectively? I don't think I'm getting it. I think I'm just tired, mate. I'm so sorry. But if you can drop in a bit more into the chat so Thicko here can understand it, then I'll answer your question as best I can. I'll wait for that to come through, Ian. So I was talking about, doing your stretching, your yoga or your walking during your rest days. As an active rest, that's absolutely fine. So things like, I spoke actually about my rest day I just had, and that's probably actually a motivation one for me. So I quite often get what I feel like is motivation burnout. So with motivation burnout, because you're doing the same thing quite often, it becomes numb or repetitive. If you don't always feel like you're seeing the gains, it can be very... Oh my God. I'm so sorry. If you don't feel like you're seeing the gains, it can feel like you're, hitting your head against a brick wall. So, rather than, messing yourself up psychologically and putting yourself back a step, that's why I really like a rest day or two. So Ian's saying here, without increasing the weight, can I apply progressive overload? Not, I would say not really. In fact, no, you can, because in fact you could. Yeah, you could. Let's think about this straight. 100% you could. It's reps. So all you need to do is increase the reps. That would give you a progressive overload. So perhaps you're doing bicep curls, and what you want to start doing is you usually have 3 sets of 5, or let's say 3 sets of 5 reps, or 3 sets of 10 reps, or whatever it is. Instead of doing your 3 sets at 10 reps and you want some overload to happen, you could do it in a variety of different ways. You could do something like, instead of 3 sets of 10, you could do 6 sets of 5. You could try and do 6 sets of 10. I don't think you'd probably be able to do 6 sets of 10, because at the 310 you should already be working to the max anyway if you're doing 3 sets of 10. So I would suggest doing something like dropping it a bit, maybe 6 sets of 8 reps or 6 sets of 6 reps, and try and do that with the same weight. So that would give you a form of progressive overload, yeah. So it's all about repetition. Up the repetitions for you, Mr. Woods. That would work. Yeah, sorry I didn't understand your question. I am absolutely knackered, but we'll get there. So what else are we going to talk about? How a rest day or a break has enhanced my performance. So when I take, generally speaking, when I take a proper break, not just a rest day, when I take a break from it and come back, I've always found that I was doing bench press before, and I was doing 120 kg or whatever it is, and then I go back after my rest, or my break, sorry, and I'm doing the same, and I'm actually able to lift heavier. I don't know why that is. I don't know whether it's a mental thing for me, or whether it's a genuine science thing. Because you've taken a week off, you've allowed the body longer to recover. You've maximised your fuel stores, which gives you the ability then to be able to push harder in that first session back. I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's just a mindset thing where I think, oh, my body's feeling fresh. I've not done this in ages. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm pumped. I'm good to go. And, you can then get onto the old bench press and start banging them out like no man's business. It might just be that, or it could even be a mix of the two. However, as I said, I was doing bench press, and the last time I had a rest like this, I was doing about 115, and when I went back after my rest, I was doing 120, 130 even on bench press. That's kilograms, not pounds, for anyone that's watching in the US. What's 130 kilograms into pounds? Good question. I don't know the answer to that. Asking myself the question, but you know, pounds to kg. Let's have a look. So if we had 130 is 286 pound. Oh, okay, that's not too bad. So it's just under 300 pound on a bench press. That's quite cool. So I would expect now when I go back, I'm hoping to be above that, because I was slightly teetering above that anyway, about 135. After this rest week, I'm hoping to be doing 140. That would be good. If I can do 140, which is 308 pound, that's really good. So I'll be super chuffed with that. You know, that'd be really, really, really good. But yeah, I generally find that, and that doesn't just matter whether it's weightlifting or whether it's from my days of cardiovascular training. After a good rest, I personally, it's probably mind. You just feel ready for it, and you feel a lot more up for it than you would do if you're constantly, on the training all the time, and your just mind's consumed by it, and you're sort of dropping off through lack of motivation. So there we go. So that was our muscle moment for Minis and Muscles this Friday. Does anyone have any questions on that, by the way? As you know, I welcome questions. Let's have a look at these. As I lean across here. Let's just adjust this light so I can see a bit better. Well, that could work, actually. I think we're good. I think we're good. Right, so let's just bring these across. I don't know about... Yeah, they are drying, but it's taking forever to dry. So you know the wings we painted with that contrast paint, or that shade paint? It's drying, but it's so slow. So I wonder if we leave it overnight and see what it looks like the next day, and then we'll have to apply a few more layers to it. So what I might do is create a short on that, and then stick it into the channel. Because I've been terrible at making shorts recently. Absolutely terrible. My sewing skills are awful. Whee! Good joke. Dad jokes. Everybody loves a dad joke. So, let's have a look here. If we drop into the camera, on our page 1, we're actually looking at creating the rocks and the base. So we're looking at creating the rocks and the base that the dragon sits on. Right, so let's stick it there. Look, there you go, rocks and the base. So I need to start looking at cutting those out. So I can place all of these, which is all of these sprues here, off to one side. But they seem like the primer's done its job and it's covered it nicely. There are some little bits, but actually I don't mind that little bit of translucent coming through, because that will add to the model later. So I'm happy with that. Let's look at these rocks, shall we? So generally speaking, when you get a model like this, I don't know if I can show you, I don't know if it will zoom in enough, but just on here, there's a number. Can you see that just about? Get that there? Number 6. Yeah, just about. You can just about see it. All of these are labelled, and it's got like a little arrow pointing to it. It says 6 and then an arrow going up. And then this one's number 1, and it's got an arrow pointing up. All of these little pieces have numbers. And on your instructions, it will say, right, grab piece this and stick it to piece that. And that is all we're going to do. So we're going to be cutting out lots of different pieces and sticking them together. Let's change the music. Let's see what else we got. Cave music. I don't know what that sounds like. Ooh. That's alright. What do you reckon on that? That background music. That's quite cool, isn't it? Yeah. I like that. We can go with cave music. Righty. Okay. Excuse me. So I'm just going to go around as per the instructions and cut out the objects that I need to cut out. Again, it's the same principle as what we used before. So using our cutters, going around and just either cutting them flat if possible, or using the edge of the cutter just to smooth that off. So that's all you're doing. So what else is happening in chat? CR, are you still playing your Red Alert Campaign 2? Are you playing that right now? Is that your Friday night treat to yourself? I want to start a new game. I'm not sure what to start though. Oh, I tell you what. I don't know if I've mentioned it on here before actually. But I've got a Nintendo Switch which I take with me on my trips. And on there I usually download like cheap games. I don't spend a lot of money on the Nintendo Switch games. A, because they're generally very expensive. And B, there's just no point because I don't play it often enough. So I buy the cheap games on there, you know, £5, £3, whatever it is. And I bought a game called Cat Quest. Anyone in the chat played Cat Quest? Let me know. So CR, this might be one you want to play. So for description, it's a bit like Zelda, but with a cat. And you go around and do loads of different quests, killing stuff. You upgrade your magical spells and your weapons and your armory, etc. And it's quite entertaining. It's quite good. I think I paid £3 for it on the Switch. Bloody brilliant for £3. But I've just seen they're releasing like Cat Quest 4 or something on the PlayStation 5. So that could be something for people to play. Cat Quest. So if anyone knows what that is, drop it in the chat. We wanted to talk tonight about, and this is sort of second part of Minis-N-Muscles this evening on Friday. We wanted to talk about TTRPGs and how to get into them. So first of all, how do you even start in the world of tabletop role-playing games? It's quite scary, right? Because, well, I'm going to take my approach to it and how I started. It's quite scary. So I wasn't, before I started playing D&D anyway, I wasn't particularly, as an adult, particularly geeky. You know, still went to the gym and done that sort of stuff, did more sports, played video games, but that's about it. That's about as geeky as it got. It was just like around, just before COVID, I think it was, that I started playing Dungeons and Dragons. And it was just a comic shop. And I, you know, always like that. I've always liked that kind of fantasy world and watched movies and things like that. And when I saw the comic shop open up in my local town, I was like, oh, great, I'll have a look. And then it had an option to join. So it said, come along and play on these games, on these days, and come and join us. And I was like, oh, sweet. And I just went along, not knowing anything, and just jumped in and started playing. Now, at the same time as that, I'd also stumbled across Critical Role. So we were talking last week about Critical Role, the online Dungeons & Dragons live stream. So I'd started watching. I don't know how I'd found it, but I'd found something and I was like, oh, this is really cool. And I started watching it and I kind of fell back in love with the fantasy world again, and it kind of brought me back to childhood. So I was like, oh, brilliant. Okay. Went to the comic shop, found this open game that they had called Adventurers League. And I think most geek shops do Adventurers League, so keep your eyes out for that. I started playing it and absolutely loved it. I thought it was bloody brilliant. So all those things that I loved from computer games, whether it's what's it called? Strategy type building games or whatever. I just found D&D had it all. And it was just so exciting to play, and it was cool to play a game with other people that was just fun, relaxed, chilled. The other people were kind, all that rest of that good stuff that the geek world brings. So I found mine from my local game store. We're saying in chat here, actually. CR is saying, never played that before. Currently play Red Alert. Just failed a mission. No. Oh no. How did you fail your mission, CR? Come on, tell us. Admit what you did wrong. Well, you should try Cat Quest. Cat Quest is very good, and I think you might enjoy it. So yeah, give it a bash. I would certainly give it a go. It's a bit like Zelda, but with cats. It's quite good, and it's cheap. But yeah, so I was talking about TTRPGs and starting and how I started. By the way, all I've done here on this is I've cut the 2 pieces out, applied some glue, and I'm just going to stick the 2 pieces together. You can see where I've kind of primed it, but it's missed a little bit of the edges, but that's okay. We'll paint over those in a bit. But yeah, I was saying, stumbled across Critical Role online, and then saw that my local comic store had opened up and was doing games, so I just went along for the fun. And there were some really cool people there, very nice people, and I just started to join in the games, and it was bloody brilliant. I really enjoyed myself. Like I say, falling back in love with that fantasy world. So I started on D&D, and to be fair, I haven't really strayed that far away from it, because it's not been that long since I started playing. So I DM a lot of D&D. I have played other variants of games as well, but D&D is the one for me. I really enjoy it. Yeah, there's plenty out there. So I think who was mentioning it earlier? Someone was mentioning Candela. Squarish was mentioning about Candela Obscura. There's things like Pathfinder. There's Goblin Quest. There's Honey Heist. There's loads of different dice rolling, role-playing type games out there with various different themes. Plenty for you to go out and explore, and I 100% guarantee there will be one that will be right up your street, no matter who you are. It could be that you're a real computer geek, as in gaming geek. What about playing Fallout? There's a Fallout RPG, tabletop RPG. Why not play that? Just as the first one that popped into my head. But there's plenty out there for everybody. There's if you're into animals, right? There's a what's it called? Is it Dogs and Dungeons or something like that? It might be Dogs and Dungeons, or it's something very similar. But basically, you can play dogs or cats, and the cats are obviously have classes like Dungeons and Dragons do, but they're cats or dogs. And you can even get the miniatures as well. They're quite cute. But yes, if you like animals, maybe that's the one for you. And what I find super appealing, not just the fantasy type setting, but actually what's super appealing is sitting around a table with your mates, or a bunch of just kind, friendly people, and just having an absolute laugh. Just talking a bit of shit, and just having a joke and a laugh about something. I don't know what it is about doing that, but it's quite what's the right word? Is it cathartic? Is that the right word? It's quite kind of, again, jet lag, can't remember words, but it's really nice to do, and it feels quite special, especially when you get a nice group going. You can all start having a laugh with the characters, what they get up to. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, I do enjoy playing those. So yeah, so it's that sort of storytelling vibe where the DM's setting your world, but then you as players, in a collaborative manner, start then to add to that story. So that's why it's cool. Like, it's like Lord of the Rings. I think there's a Lord of the Rings TTRPG actually. You're watching Lord of the Rings and you're watching the characters in that, and then you're joining in and you're creating part of that story, and you're giving the characters their next mission, or you're saying where they're going and making a choice in their actions of what they do. That's so cool. Like, seriously, I love the fact that you can do that. There's no other game. There's no real other game systems that are out there, unlike TTRPGs, where you have like full control of the narrative and what happens. Yes, the DM does, or the dungeon master or the game master does control things to a point, but you have, you know, very much creative rights on the project to be able to do almost what you want. And that's the other cool thing. It's like proper, real open world. So, you know, like, I don't know, Red Dead Redemption, for example, might be classed as an open world game or something like that. But D&D is a real open world with nothing that stops you. You can literally, you know, to think of a player that I used to play, 1 minute pick someone's pockets to the next minute, you know, fight a dragon. And you can do everything in between. You can walk in with free will to the bar and just chat to the bar person about their week. And then the DM has to create this narrative, you know, for this barkeep that you're talking to tell, you know, so they have this conversation with you to say, oh yes, I've had a lovely week and it's been fantastic. Thank you very much for asking. You know, it's absolute bonkers, but brilliant. That's why I really love how the sort of story and the narrative comes out. As long as everyone leans into it. If nobody really wants to add or contribute, it can make it harder for the DM. But that might be a different style of game of Dungeons and Dragons where it's purely smash, 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 fight, fight, fight. And that's okay too. But it just I personally prefer a bit more story. It just makes it a bit more interesting. So choosing your first game. How do you go about choosing your first game? Well, I think it's about just looking at what you enjoy. So think about the topics you enjoy. I mentioned earlier Fallout. So, you know, if you like Fallout and you like video games, or you might like movies, think about maybe going and finding a group that's playing Aliens, because there's an Aliens TTRPG. So, you know, there's lots of things out there. Just think about something that you enjoy, a topic that you enjoy, and then try and find an RPG around that. Generally speaking, there is. And if not, into the game, even if it's Dungeons and Dragons, but in real life you like knitting, okay? This is really like vague, but in real life you like knitting and you can't find a knitting TTRPG, play Dungeons and Dragons, and when you create your character, give your character in the background story something about the fact that they just knit everything. And, you know, if your DM's really cool, maybe he'll think, okay, right, instead of having a weapon, what about if we give your knitting character knitting needles? They don't have daggers. They don't carry daggers. They only have knitting needles, you know, or they fire knitting needles from a crossbow, you know, or something silly like that. You can really adapt it and lean into the things that you like, as long as you work with your DM. So Squarish is saying he had a similar intro to D&D as a friend at work plays loads, suggested watching Critical Role. Yeah. And then he's watching Campaign 2 and he's hooked. Yeah, 100%, mate. Absolutely know how you feel. I started on Campaign 1 though. Not Campaign 2, but same thing. Watching something like that when the DM is that good and the group is that good that they craft this absolutely beautiful story around this sort of fantasy type setting. It's just wonderful to listen to. It's a bit like, it was for me, it was like listening to an audiobook. That's what it was like for me, watching Critical Role. And you're also saying when Candela came along, I realised it was much more my thing and more narrative led. Yeah, so again, it depends on your D&D game. So if I look back at some of the things I've done in Tag, for example, Squarish, two of my sessions were completely narrative. There was no combat at all. Nothing. Not one bit of combat, not one bit of fighting. It was all investigation. So when the party got into the town, the idea was they had to try and work out what was going on. So they spent the whole 2 sessions sneaking around, investigating, trying to find clues, trying to find what's going on. There was no combat at all. And that's a little bit more like Candela, where it's a little bit more narrative. Again, you have to lean into the individuals you have in your group, so you might not have some that want to talk and want to speak, but you might have others that are really down for it. So, you know, just jump on the people that you have. So yeah, so it's a good TTRPG is a good way to experience some of your favourite things in the world, but in in another setting. It's quite nice. It's a weird way to describe it, but it's well worth it. So what else we got here? Other things. So we talked about. Oh yeah. So when you're thinking about what you like, also try and think about the category of things you like. Do you like fantasy setting, Lord of the Rings type thing? Do you like sci-fi? Do you like horror? Do you, go through all of those things, because the game's settings will then need to match your expectations on what you're looking for. So Squarish there is saying about how he likes Candela Obscura more because the narrative and probably the thematic setting as well there. He prefers it more to D&D. So think about that kind of setting that you want that suits your interests. Then it's about finding the group. How do you go about finding a group? This is actually quite a tricky one. So, personally, I found my local comic store, but it doesn't always work out like that. You might not find a local comic store. Before I found the comic store, I was searching online, and I was just searching a variety of different... I was just Googling stuff. I was just saying, oh, by the way, I'm cutting out the next bit. So I've stuck together our little rocks. So they're all stuck together now. But I'm cutting out the dragon, the base of the dragon. So I started to look for groups on Google. And when you start opening, Dungeons and Dragons group in my town, you can start to find things in your area. There's plenty of chat rooms, chat groups, Facebook groups. And within, it doesn't take long, once you find one, and when you speak to those individuals there, it's actually quite easy, because they'll open you up to the rest of the world, and the rest of the world is really expansive, and there's a lot of things happening all over the place. I think getting your foot in the door in the first place and getting into the right crowd is a little bit tougher. Especially if you don't have a local game store to just drop on into. But don't give up. There are plenty of things around. If you want any advice, feel free to drop me a line. I think my email is on the main page for this channel. So drop me an email or stick it in chat. But I'm happy to help you out and try and find a group. It's not that hard though. It's fairly easy, and like I say, once you find one, you tend to find a bajillion. And a bajillion, that's a copyrighted word of my own. In fact, is that not a real word? Is it bajillion? But no. So that's kind of what you want to do. Use good old Google and look at the forums, things like Reddit. Oh, that's a good one actually. Dungeons and Dragons have their own, Wizards of the Coast's Dungeons and Dragons, the official Dungeons and Dragons, has a a Discord channel for new people, and you can jump in there and find games in your area, even if it's online games. Might not be your preference to begin with, but until you find people to play with at home, then you might have to use the online facilities. But yeah, so Wizards of the Coast have their own Discord channel. So feel free. I'll stick the link to it into my Discord channel, and I'll put it in the chat in a sec. In fact, let me find it now. But yeah, it's fairly easy to find. Good old Google. Let's have a look here. So I want to find Dungeons and Dragons. No, that's my Dungeons and Dragons. Oh no, I left the group. Darn. Okay, I can't put the link in because I deleted the group because I started to not use it. But basically, it's a Discord channel. Just search for Dungeons and Dragons, Wizards of the Coast, Dungeons and Dragons. You'll find it. It'll be the main official one there on Discord. And there is a chat room within that will help you, at least give you some suggestions on where to find things. And like I say, once you get plugged in and meet a couple of people, then those couple of people are, oh yeah, come to this game, come to that game. And then you go to this gaming fair, then you meet more people. And then all of a sudden your little network grows into something that's, you know, actually quite wonderful. So yeah, so that's how I would advise you start off to get into it. You don't need a lot of things to start tabletop role-playing games. Not at all. You might want to buy yourself a set of dice. So they come in sets of 7. So you get a D20, a D4, a D6, a D8, a D10, a D12. And you can get those dice, you know, from pretty much anywhere online. Just search Dungeons & Dragons dice set and you'll find them there. But yeah, give that a blast. That's probably all you need. A piece of paper and a pen. That's it. You don't need a lot of stuff to start playing D&D, and that's the lovely thing about it. There is a free app called D&D Beyond. So that's a free app that you can use. You can pay for it, but there is a free version where you can even create characters. So you can just, even if you don't fancy playing right now, download the app and take a look at creating a character. Just create a character and play around with it and see what you think. Start writing them a cool little backstory. That's like part of the fun, right? The creation side. Right, so there's his body stuck together. Can you see some of the blue shining through there? That sort of see-through blue, which is actually quite cool to have that shine through. I don't know how that'll come out when we start painting it, but should be quite good. So what other questions have we got? Let's have a look. Oh no, I've lost my chat. No. Ah, there we go. Chat's back. That's all right, we got you. Don't worry. Oh, no new chat. But yeah, so that's how I'd suggest to find a game. What was I going to mention next? Yeah, when you find that group, what is really important is finding a group that matches your play style. So if you are like Squarish said, he very much enjoys the roleplay part. Now, if that's the case, he can, but it wouldn't be the best idea to join a group that is all about fighting. If it's all about fighting, then Squarish is not going to have a great time about that. He'll enjoy elements, but he'll soon become bored and he won't last very long. So find a group that matches your style, whether that's the narrative element, whether that's the exploration, whether that's the fighting. Try and find something that fits well, because otherwise you'll lose patience very quickly, I'd imagine, and you won't stick it out, and then you'll miss out on all of the cool things that a tabletop role-playing game can give you. So match your play style. If you don't know your play style yet, just think, okay, well, to begin with, what am I confident in doing? So am I confident in, you know, playing a character in a group and, you know, putting on a silly voice, or, you know, asking other questions or talking to other characters who are people sat across me in this voice, or talking to them as my character? Am I happy with that? Do I just want to loot things and find new weapons and play it a little bit like a video game? That's not the idea, but you can do that. You know, there are games where, you know, you can be more combat heavy and it's less about the narrative, and, you know, the dungeon master can just give you combat session after combat session after combat session. So that's also completely okay, and you're more than able to do that. So think about the type of game you want to play. That's important. So what else is going on in chat? Squarish is saying, also had the other person in the D&D game I play say they want to lean more into the roleplay side of things. So happy there too. Yeah, so as you start to get to know your groups that you're playing in, you'll actually start to get a feel of what they want to do, and as you play again and again and again, people will become more confident. You know, first time you play something, it just might feel fucking weird to... Oh, damn it, I swore again. It might feel weird to, you know, put on a voice and in front of people, because you might be a bit embarrassed by that. You know, but the more you play and the more other people join in and do the same thing, it becomes less of a problem and more you start to just enjoy every moment, because everyone's in on the same thing and everyone's doing the same stuff, so you can just jump in as well. And it's really nice when everyone starts doing it. As a DM, I love watching the group talk. So I love sitting there and, you know, watching my group talk about doing this or doing that and plotting to do X, Y, Z. And I'm thinking, crikey, they're plotting this really, really sort of in-depth session or in-depth plan, and the whole fucking the whole puzzle is not that complex. You know, the whole puzzle is only very, very short, but they're going, oh no, we need to do this and we need to do X, Y, Z, to do that, to do this, to do this. And it's really funny to watch that as a dungeon master. Squares is saying, strangely, I feel way more comfortable doing the voice and full RP stuff as a GM than as a player. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. Maybe it's just that, you know, by the way, I'm sticking the foot here onto the leg of the dragon. Maybe, Squarish, that's just because you're sort of hiding behind your GM screen, perhaps? Do you think? Do you have a GM screen? Do you sort of sit behind that? Is that your safe place? Because if you're capable of doing it as a GM, you're capable of doing it as a player, right? So I'm just trying to work out what the rationale is. And maybe it's because you get to sit behind a screen and that makes you feel a little bit better because you're partially hidden or something. I don't know. Right, what's next? Number 14 and number 15. Let's find those. Oh, there's number 14, so it's this long curved piece here. And 15 is literally this one here. So that's good, we'll cut those out. So what else is everyone up to in chat? What's going on, peeps? CR, how you getting on with that red alert? Did you fail another mission? There you go, there's my question. Ian, are you planning your Monday gym session? If so, what are you planning for your Monday gym session? Is it a legs day? Is it a chest day? What is it? What else have we had in the chat? I had a Hells earlier by the looks of it. Hells, how was your week? What's been going on? Aimzo, what about you? So, there we go. Right, cut out those two bits. So this kind of, when you're building these models like this, it does sometimes get repetitive. So it's like, right, okay, cut another piece out, go around, do all the little burrs. Okay, I've done those. Right, now file them off. Right, okay, now stick the bit to this bit. You know, so sometimes it does feel a little bit repetitive when you're building models. But, you know, I guess that's the overall part of the fun, because once you go through this process and you put the model together, it's actually quite a fulfilling feeling where you see that model and you're like, oh, I actually built that. That's really cool. You know, like I look at some of the models that I've painted up on my shelves and I'm like, oh, you know, not that they're pro standard, but they wouldn't look bad in a shop. No, they wouldn't look the best, but they certainly won't look bad. So that's quite nice to be able to do that. Square saying there, it's done all through Discord, I think, as a player. Ah, okay, so you do your games through Discord. Right, got you. I don't know if there's a delay where I see your messages come through, perhaps. That's quite a bit of a delay, that. But yeah, so you play through Discord, right. Okay, but you still feel, as a GM, more happy about doing play. Is that because maybe, again, I'm just trying to understand why. Is it because as a GM, you're expected to do the voices. As players, not everyone does. So you don't want to feel like the prat that's doing it when everyone else isn't. I don't know. I always try and lean into voices because I just find that people, if they do, they end up having more fun. You know, because it's all about being a character that you're not in real life, you know. That's why it's quite cool, TTRPGs. You play that, or some people purely play for that escapism vibe, but to an extreme where, I don't know, they're super quiet, but in their TTRPGs, they're an outlandish bard who, you know, beds every man or every woman in the game. But in real life, this person wouldn't say boo to a goose. So it's quite a nice way to escape. But that's not everything. That doesn't mean to say you have to play like that, by the way. You play how you enjoy it, but some people enjoy it that way. Here we go. Yeah, I wonder what that reason or rationale is, Squarish. I'm not sure. Yeah, so often worried about seeing two main characters. Ah, okay, got you. So you don't want to seem like you're being the overbearing one. Yeah. Okay, so what Squarish is referring to there actually is sometimes when you play a TTRPG, you might get one player who is, their character is louder than everyone else's, always has to have a say, always has input on the conversation of the party in game, and is always there, you know, shout, 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 do this, do that type thing. You do get those players, and you know they're quite often called main player syndrome, where they, you know, want to be the main player and the only player in the game, which does happen. I've seen it. So it does happen. So you're absolutely right, Squarish. So yeah, you don't want to fall into that trap or be labelled. I get that. Perhaps then just say to your group, so you know, I really like the role playing aspect. You know, would you guys want to jump in with me? What we got now on this? Instructions. Oh dear, that's not very good. So see here, right, so we've got all these here that are numbered, right, and then come this box, there's no numbers. It's just instruction 8 from instruction 7, which is fine, but no numbers on the pieces. Same for number 9, no numbers. And then go to number 10, it's got numbers again. It's so weird. So weird. I think half the time, that's the one thing I've noticed with this manufacturer. Their instructions are a little bit like that, to be fair. And they kind of, one minute they're there, the next minute they disappear, and you're like, what the hell happened there? Why is that like that? Oh, I've just realised, what a donut. So that is because I'm actually sticking bits to the main part that I've already glued together. What a div. Oh dear, people. See, that's because I'm tired. Oh, that's what I'm going to blame it on anyway. So because I'm tired, I'm missing the instructions. Right, so I've got to stick this bit to here. So just put his foot on here. Righty. Yeah, you just replied and said, yes, you think that is very much it. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. So only session 0, so your first game as a group, you discuss all those things. And you say to people, look, I really love doing the role play, you know, I'm not trying to be a douche and run away with the game. I just really get into it, and I just love the chatting and the talking, the interaction as characters. You know, so please don't bite my head off if that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to be my character. And, you know, 9 times out of 10, most people will be fine with that. Right, so stick on part of his tail. How does that go then? Ah, there, like that. Oh man, this is... I tell you what, right? I know some of the I just slated the instructions, but these models are very cool. So it's Dungeons and Lasers. I got a couple of these. I can't remember what comic. It wasn't Comic Con, but it was one of the cons that runs throughout the year. And I got these from, and they're really good. Like the print quality on them is really good. I do think they look smart. Once you start pulling them together, they really do look good. But yeah, so got that. Alright, so from that point, he needs to go on to this, does he? Alrighty then. Oh, does that go there? Is that where it goes? Ah, okay. Ah, right, okay, so this goes on there like that. Right, okay, so what we're not going to do is we're not going to glue these two bits together. Because if we glue those two bits together, then I can't paint the rocks underneath as easy, so I will paint the rocks first. That's what we'll do now. So let's leave this to dry. And let's change our tact and get the big dry brush out. Oh god, starting throwing things everywhere. We'll get the dry brush out and we'll start to do some painting. I want a grey. We want quite a dark grey anyway. For this one, for this rock. Let's just mix up that paint in our standard way. There we go. Mixy, mixy, mix. Yep. Just plug that in. Yeah. Oh, just realised only 20 minutes left of the stream. Crikey. So sometimes when you're building models, and certainly when I'm building models and chatting away to you guys, I kind of lose myself and forget what bloody time it is. But also I feel like, oh, I've not got much done. I've only done X, Y, Z. I wanted to do more. I want to do more. So that's quite an often feeling, but don't panic. So creating your first character is something I wanted to talk about. We mentioned earlier very quickly about using an app called D&D Beyond or using a pen and paper. So the pen and paper versions you can get straight off the Wizards of the Coast's website, I believe. You can get them for free, download them and print them out, or there's plenty across the internet of Dungeons and Dragons type Pathfinder or Call of Cthulhu or whatever it is you're playing, miniature character sheets to build out your characters. So have a look across the internet and download those and print them out. That's all I did to start with. Until I knew that I really liked it, I thought, well, I'm not going to get too heavily invested here. I will just buy myself some pen and paper and print them out. I actually lose my old works printer to print them out as well. Oh gosh, what if they're watching? Oh, that'd be terrible. Yeah, I didn't want to commit too much. If you know that you love it, then start investing in something like an app that will help you build your characters. So like D&D Beyond. D&D Beyond is a very cool app, very easy to use for building Dungeons and Dragons characters. And it allows you to, do all the stuff, and it applies all the rules for you automatically without you even having to know the rules. You just choose the options. So there's something actually very appealing about that, because you don't have to then get into the weeds of the books. The app is doing all the heavy lifting for you, and you can just enjoy the creation part. That's one thing I really love about D&D, but as well as other things, is that character creation thing. Even in normal games, like say a computer game, I love the character creation screen. I love creating a crazy wacky character, or spending some time like putting some decent gear on them or whatever, or making their character look cool. I think that's part of the fun. You've got to be able to make a nice character and make him look smart. You can't just go in there and you know, have it look like a bag of poop. So I always used to spend hours playing and various different games, and some of them when you create your character, I'd spend too much time on the character creation screen and then come out and I'd be like saying to my mate, I remember playing Red Dead Redemption. I was like, why are you dressed like a hobo? Why are you not doing this? And why are you not, you know, getting a cool cowboy hat and this and that? Because I was well into it and absolutely loved that creation phase. But, you know, it's everyone to their own, and that's what's lovely about it. But see here, I've just quickly dry brushed the rock. Well, it's a bit more than a dry brush, actually. But just quickly banged over the rock with my dry brush. And now I am going to put a lighter grey across the top, just with dry brushing effect. So that's the same effect we talked about before. Put some onto your paintbrush and then take a load off, so there's very little on your paintbrush, and lightly dust across the top. And as you dust across the top, it will pick out all the highlights. It's very good. Yeah, so create your character. Spend time writing a cool background about it. That's the fun part, or one of the fun parts anyway. I absolutely love creating characters. I've got D&D Beyond myself, and I probably have about 30 characters created, and I haven't even played, you know, 10 of them. That's how much I love just creating a character and then just leaving it on the app, just so I can go back. I write backstories, I do all their stats, every single thing you can think of. And it doesn't matter that I don't play them, I just enjoy writing the character up. I find that just very appealing to do that kind of thing. So worth a go is what I'm saying. So I'm just gonna stick some probably too much here actually. Just gonna stick some dry brushing across the top of this. Just to take off that sort of one coat feel. Give it that kind of weathered look. So I don't know if this comes out and you can start to see just how the weathered approach. So you've got that black underneath, because I love the black primer, and you've got a sort of darker grey on top, and then you've got the sort of lighter grey on top of that in a dry brushing method. So yeah, well, even though on the first grey I applied, I haven't gone to town. As you can see, there's black cracks there. So it's not dry brushing in its truest form. That whiter grey that's gone on top is more that dry brushing in the truer form, with very little on your brush. But it's kind of the same technique with a little bit of more paint on your brush, but you're leaving aspects out for that black underneath to sit through. I just find it looks very appealing, especially at a distance on a table. It looks very, very cool. So give that a go in your painting. Yeah, so you've created your first character. You know, don't worry too much if you can't think of a crazy backstory, or if you're, you know, not into writing that up. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be that. It can just be something very, very simple. So don't panic. Yeah, you can use pre-generated characters. So I think pretty much every game that I've played, TTRPG-wise, has pre-generated character sheets. So whether that's Dungeons & Dragons, whether that's Call of Cthulhu, whether that's Honey Heist, whatever it is, they all have pre-generated characters. That means someone, the game designer, has already come in, written all the stats up, so all you do is pick up and play. Throw a few dice, have a few chats, have a bit of a laugh. So they're really cool to do. So if you're missing something like that, or you haven't managed to create your character, don't panic about using a pre-generated one. Absolutely fine, and nothing wrong with that at all. It can ease you into the game as well. Takes the pressure off you having to create something, and gives you the ability just to jump straight in without too much of a worry. Oh, looks like we've got a couple more people viewing. That's good. How are we tonight, peeps? The ones that have just joined. I don't know who that is that's just joined. But welcome, welcome, welcome. I don't know if there's a way that I can see who joins. There probably is, but I don't know how. So yeah, we're talking about the pre-generated, understanding the basics. So yeah, how much do you need to know on understanding the basics? I don't think you need to know too much. If you're joining a group that that actually has, if you're joining a group that has an experienced couple of players or experienced DM, they'll guide you through. The basics are: be prepared to play a character or kind of act a character. Be prepared to roll some dice to find out how successful you were on choosing, or completing a task that you chose. That's it. The rest of the players that are there, or the DM, will guide you through the rules and the regulations, and he'll say, right, when you roll that, add this to it or add that to it. We had a new-ish player that joined my home campaign. We sat him over this side of the table, but next to either one of the girls that played in the campaign or one of the guys, just so that they can, one of the more experienced members, that is, that they can just guide him and help him and say, oh no, this is how you do that, this is how. And they quickly learn, especially as you're sat around a table watching others play. You pick it up really fast, so don't panic about knowing everything. Again, don't panic around the basics of the gameplay. For example, if I look at, I know Warhammer isn't a TTRPG, but I went to play Warhammer, didn't really know the mechanics at all, and my two buddies just taught me, just said, no, this is it, bum bum bum, there you go, okay, great, fantastic. And I just went with it, just rolled with it, literally, because I rolled dice. So Squarish is saying, who was your first D&D character? I can tell you who he was. And I still want to go back and play this character at some point, because I think he's absolutely awesome. So, Mike, I'm just logging into D&D Beyond whilst I'm chatting to you guys. So my first character was called Taeral, Taeral. He was a wood elf, and he was a paladin. So he was a sort of very quiet but serious kind of paladin, very heavy into his faith and religion. Not in the preachy kind of sense, but he would drop in the occasional faith-applied quote into the conversation, or try to steer people towards being good. But ultimately, he was the protector, so that was kind of his role. He just liked to protect people, and absolutely loved that character. He was cool as, and I got him through playing Adventurers League, which is just turn up and play whenever you can. So it's not a strict campaign as such. I got him to level 10, so I was super chuffed with that. I really enjoyed playing that character. It's very cool. So hopefully I'll get back to playing him at some point, or I can drop him into something. That'd be nice. So what else we got here? Explain the basics of gameplay. Yeah, discuss the role of the game master. Oh yeah. We've kind of already done the role of the game master. So I said to you, he is the creator of the narrative and the story. So he brings the story to life for you guys, and then you add to that story. So he will give you at this time in this place, this happened, and it looked like this, and it smelt like this, and this was the environment, and this was the humdrum of the local noise, and this was what you saw. What would you like to do? And he passes it to the characters, and the characters then add to that narrative and story and say, well, my character John, he loves picking pockets, so he's going to go find someone to pick pockets, blah 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 blah. So the DM is the scene setter, and he also controls all the NPCs as well. So the non-player characters, he controls those and makes sure they act accordingly and do what they need to do. So it's really for you guys as players, no matter what TTRPG, is to contribute in the best possible way to the game. The more you contribute to this narrative, the better the game will be. If you sit there silent, it will still be fairly enjoyable, but you won't have any input. When you have the input, you've got like a kind of leverage or control over what's going on, and you feel more invested. When you feel more invested, you become then like attached to that character. I mentioned Taeral. my level 10 paladin, straight away I was like, oh my god, I love playing that game, because I was like emotionally attached to him. So it makes you very much invested into the game you're playing. So, you know, do contribute. Initial hurdles, what could they be? I think we've kind of touched on those as well already, and it's really around how your expectations, what you want from the game, and the players you're playing with, and how they will help you get that. So be clear, be concise about what you're trying to get out of the game, so that other players around you can either assist you in getting that outcome, or they can say, that's not a possibility, we do it like this, and you say, do I or don't I like that outcome? If I do, I'll stay. If I don't, you know, I'll find another group type thing. How to we did kind of talk about how to feel about doing the narrative side of the game. I don't know. For me, in life and anything, I'm more of a sort of just jump in, just do it, just fuck it, just another swear word. Just do it. Just jump straight in and say, you know, I'll do a silly voice and I'll talk like this for the whole game, you know, or you know, you do your Scottish accent and you talk like this, and you know, whatever it is, just jump straight in and just go for it. Everyone at that table, I guarantee you, even if they're not what's the right word? Not confident enough to do it themselves, they will love what you're doing. And they will become more invested into the game because they want to hear your character talk, or they want to see what your crazy character does. So it helps everybody in the game, and at some point they'll come good and they will start to contribute. Ames is saying, just got back from a walk, had this on my headphones, it's been a good week of hitting my stride. Oh, well done. Steps, not stride. Well, steps and stride, very similar thing. So well done on hitting your steps towards your fitness goals. That's very, very good. So you've been listening to Minis-N-Muscles, I see, and you're listening to the 3 steps that I talk about, which is steps, calories, and workouts. So they're your 3 things that you need to do. So well done. A great week, I'm sure. And then my last point I wanted to cover on playing TTRPGs was embracing mistakes. So in TTRPGs, it's quite easy to make mistakes in a variety of different ways, because it's not like a board game where, you know, nothing's live. If the DM is running it correctly, everything is kind of live. So as you say, well, my character's going to go and rob the police station. And as soon as you say that, the DM's like, okay, fine. You go rob the... How are you doing it? What are you doing? And he will start to pull out of you the answers so he can then create the scenario. But if you make a mistake in that, don't be afraid. Even the most professional of players make mistakes. If you look at Critical Role, for example, they make mistakes. But that doesn't mean it's terrible. It doesn't mean it's bad. It actually, half the time, makes it funny. So, you know, you'll see there was a funny scenario that happened in my homebrew game where someone said something and we all sort of jumped on the player and said, you know, you're doing this or you're doing that type thing. And we didn't pick on him, we gave him some banter. And actually now, so we bring it up every now and then when a scenario like that happens, we bring up the same thing and say, see, it's just like you. So it's quite nice to do that. So that's why you should embrace mistakes. Just enjoy it. It doesn't matter. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to harm you. Just go with the flow. Open up. Because again, it will allow everyone else around the table to understand and see that you are normal. But I mean, like, you're open to making mistakes. They'll feel less pressured. So they'll start to join in. They'll be like, oh, I can join in. Oh, that's all right. Steve made a mistake when he was doing this, so it doesn't matter if I make a mistake. So they'll start contributing to the narrative, and that is what you want. As soon as everybody is contributing, it makes a story brilliant. It absolutely does. Doesn't matter what TTRPG you're playing. When people are fully into that narrative, it really helps sell the game and immerses you into that world. Yeah. So that's getting into TTRPGs. So let's jump back into our model here. And let's just see where we are. So we were up to that stage. Now I'm trying to look here. So now it's talking about sticking on other stuffs and bits and stuffs. 7 goes on to that, does it? So we've got our piece here of the dragon that's going to sit on the rock. Okay, so we're now the dilemma is, do we attach this? It goes here, right? Do we attach it to here? Because that then makes it a little bit more difficult to paint in certain areas, or do we just build the dragon out? I think we're going to have to try and build the dragon out, but some of the steps are like add the wing here, add the wing there. But I think we're going to have to avoid those steps or move past those and add in the other bits. That's the only way to do it. So what's 8? 8 is his leg. So we need to cut his leg out and stick his leg onto him, but then that also goes onto the rock. So I'm not sure how that's going to work. And by the rock I mean the rock model, not Dwayne the Rock. Although I'm sure some of the ladies would love Dwayne the Rock to be on Minis and Muscles. But it doesn't matter what you ladies think. I'm cooler than Dwayne the Rock. I wish. I wish I was. Right, so all we're doing now is doing the same thing. We're cutting out the little foot, taking off the burrs again with our little crafting tool. Just cutting those off. Just so they're gone. We've got the leg as well. We'll do the same for that. Go around very quickly. Once you get in the swing of doing this, you can actually do them quite fast, unless you get a big burr that's sort of stuck there, like this one. A little bit more tricky, but they do come off. And it doesn't take long for you to work out how to do it and get it just right. There we go. There's that one. What else? Oh, there's one more there. There we go. So there's all the burrs done, and we've got a foot here to stick onto that. Is that right? Yes. Okay, so we can stick that on. That's cool. Oh, I forgot to put my camera on. Sorry, guys. Let's move this back. Boop. There we go. So what we're sticking on is onto here. We're just going to glue onto this little part here. And we're going to add this foot. There you go. So they're the two bits that we cut out. Just going to glue those on, and then that is then going to glue on the opposite side of this, around here, into that hole there. I think, yes it is, yeah. So let's just bang that hole with glue. There you go, stick it all around there. There we go. Right, so the last 5 minutes or so of the stream, or last 2 minutes actually, guys. Any other questions for Minis and Muscles this evening? Any other thoughts, feelings? Everyone cool? If you're not cool, why not? Because as ever, it has been a pleasure to have you with me along my journey in making another model. So there you go, you can see it now. It's got both his legs. There you go. And so what's going to happen? In fact, let's do it in the big screen. So you've got both the legs there. Alrighty. And then you've got the rocks that we painted, and he's going to sit on it like that. Okay. So we will get to that next week. There we go. I'll just oh no! I've dropped him. Just trying to rest him really gingerly. But there we go. There we go. That's rested. So yeah, so we'll do the rest of that. What I might do in the background actually is cut out the rest of these pieces, because you've seen me cut out a few of these now. I think you've got the drift on how to do it. It's not particularly difficult. But just, yeah, I'll do that in the background until next week. So, on that note, and as Jeremy Clarkson says, on that bombshell, Thank you, everybody that has joined in this evening. I very much appreciate you. Mucho, mucho love. Peace and love, peace and love. Thank you for watching and putting up with my drivel, my jet lag, and me drinking my Mountain Dew. Aside from that, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you see it when we go live every week. We will be going live next Friday again at 7 PM BST. Share the page. If you are a geek, share it with a fellow geek. Just one more. Just share it with one more person and get them to subscribe. Even if they don't watch, even if it's your mum. Say, Mum, just sign up to this channel for me. Would you do this guy a favour? We're trying to get to 100 people. That's what I really want to do. Get to 100 people. That will be awesome. If we get 100 people on the channel, I'll be absolutely stoked. So, yes, please do share the channel link. Yes. If you look on the main page, you will find the link tree. If you copy that link tree link, and you can send it to your buddies, and they can find the YouTube page from there. So please do that. Thank you again. I appreciate you all, every single one of you. Thank you very much for those that jumped in on the chat as well. Even if it's sporadic chat, that keeps me going. If there's any other questions that drop through on the chat, I'll make sure I answer them. But if not, comment on the video once it goes live. That will be very much helpful if you like it as well. So if you like the video once it goes live, or just go back into Minis and Muscles, like on all of the old videos. That would be cool. Apart from that, we will be here, as I said, next week, 7 PM BST, here on Minis and Muscles, the place where the brawn meets the brushes. Till next time, everybody, thank you very much. Have a very happy Friday. Enjoy your weekend. I will see you all soon. Mucho love.